Dear participant, I am Father Francis from XIT College. Hearty welcome to this webinar, Social Entrepreneurship, Rejuvenating India Through Innovation. I warmly welcome our resource person of the webinar, Dr. Mitha. Hearty welcome to dear mom. Now I call upon Dr. Sanchita, the coordinator of the Department of Business Administration, XITE, to conduct the webinar. Over to Dr. Sanchita ma'am.
Thank you, Father. Very good morning to all. I am Dr. Sanchita Ghosh Chaudhary, coordinator of the Department of Business Administration, XIT College. On behalf of my college, I extend to all of you a hearty welcome to today's webinar on social entrepreneurship, rejuvenating India through innovation. I feel specially privileged to have the honor of introducing our speaker, Dr. Meeta Tarafdar. A dynamic and vibrant personality, Dr. Tarafdar rightly exemplifies that nothing is beyond accomplishment for a woman. She's an engineer by profession and has completed her academic training from eminent institutions in both India and abroad. She is presently a chief scientist at CSIR National Metallurgical Laboratory and holds a rich experience of 29 years of research and development. She is also an ideator and innovator and has several innovations to her name. A social entrepreneur herself, Dr. Tarafdar is the founder of the Digital Literacy Mission and one of the founder trustees of the Relearn Foundation, working tirelessly for the underprivileged of her society. She also has several prestigious national awards to her name and is a member of several national and international associations of eminence. As you can see, I could go on and on like this, but I think it is time that I hand over the platform to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Meeta Tarafdar. Dr. Tarafdar, thank you for honoring us with your presence, and may I now request you to address this intellectual gathering.
Good morning to all of you, and it is really a privilege to be here with all of you, and I'm really thankful to Father Francis, principal of XITE College, and I can share you that I had a kind of dream that to get connected to XITE for a long time, and I'd rather say this is really an opportunity for me to be with you all, to share my thoughts. And for that, I must thank Dr. Sanchita because we know each other for a long time. And I'm sure that in future, there will be a many more meaningful contribution and that we can do all together. And I really am so grateful to all of you for coming here, especially on Saturday morning when you are busy to manage many things and listening to my talk. And it is really, I feel myself really honored and I'm really privileged to be with you today morning. So I will be talking about social entrepreneurship because that is the term I must say that I learned from XLRI. And when I learned this social entrepreneurship, this terminology, I must say thank you to Professor Madhukar Shukla, because I have seen him organizing social entrepreneurship and it was there in the newspaper. And I came to know about this term. That was in some time in 2011. I really did not know anything about social entrepreneurship. Okay, so that was my beginning of knowing about social entrepreneurship. So let me just share my presentation to you first. So I will be talking about social entrepreneurship and rejuvenating India through innovation. And I must thank Dr. Sanchita for coining this term called rejuvenating India through innovation, and she helped me to coin this term. And thanks, Sanchita, and really you properly coined the term, like what I really want to share with all of you. I'm a chief scientist in National Metallurgical Laboratory, and my also another put myself like that I am a founder trustee of Relearn Foundation and would like to say many things about we do under this foundation. Like a little bit about CSIR, if you do not know about Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, and this is a laboratory, R&D laboratory. It was instituted long time back, more than like in 1947 that the conceptualization came up. And then right now the president is our prime minister and our minister, vice president is Minister of State, Science and Technology, Dr. Harshavardhan, and Dr. Shekhar C. Monde, he is our Director General, and Dr. Indranil Chattaraj, he is our Director. So we are a scientific laboratory, R&D laboratory. There are nearly 5,000 scientists are there, and we are spreaded in many states. There are 37 laboratories and many outreach centers are there. So in NML, we are having nearly 140 scientists, and we are working to see that there is a kind of benefit to the industry as well as to the society. So with this background, I'll talk about a little bit of NML. In NML, we have many divisions. One is R&D division, one is support division. R&D division, we do work with metals, materials, and metallurgy. And other area we have, which is called knowledge, resource, and information technology. And currently, I am heading this division. This is knowledge, resource, and information technology division. And I founded this Relearn Foundation along with my professor, Professor Prabal Kumar Sen. He is the chairman of the foundation, and we started this foundation in 2015 after I completed my education in XLRI on entrepreneurship management. And when I learned about this social entrepreneurship, I wanted to do something for the underprivileged, and I wanted to work on education, environment, and empowerment with a team. It is not only me who will be doing, but we wanted to work in the area of learning by doing. One thing I felt really bad about in our institutional setup in India, that we only memorize, we only learn by knowing. But there is very little opportunity of learning by doing. We have a lot of curriculum, we have a lot of activities, but we hardly do that. We memorize even when we write in exams, get scores. But in real India and real country, they can do well through innovation, through technology innovation, if they do things by their hand. And that I wanted to promote through our foundation. And I wanted to promote entrepreneurship development and creating network of classroom for needy students and innovating environment-friendly products. And the reason I get this name is because there is a process of learning. There's, you learn, then you learn, and then relearn. So that's why we gave the name of this foundation as Relearn Foundation. So why I suddenly, being a scientist of National Metallurgical Laboratory, working there more than 20 years, why I suddenly started thinking about doing something called social entrepreneurship? The reason is this book, because I did my PhD on fractal analysis. Fractal is a self-similar pattern, and it is seen in everywhere in the universe. The nature, Mother Nature, believes in self-similarity, creates everything. There is a similarity, there is a pattern. And my research was fractal analysis, and I wanted to evaluate metal using fractal analysis. I did image and signal processing and did this work, and this is the book I published. And this fractal is a self-similar pattern. When I was working on that in 2010, that time I was thinking that we are so knowledgeable. We do model, we do work with so many hard, difficult concepts. But why can't we do something for solving this problem of a society? So one of the problem is the education, because underprivileged people, they do not get education properly. So I thought that can't we create a self-similar network of classrooms all over India, and the self-similar network will be like fractal pattern. And then I started this mission called Digital Literacy Mission in 2011, and I started the classroom in my own home. I started with 3 kids, and then gradually that network started propagating, and now we are having 25 centers and more than 400 students connected to this centers. In these centers. So we have tutors who are teaching them. So I am right now doing social engineering using this fractal concept. So I find it very exciting, because something which we do in engineering, something which we do for analyzing metal, something which we do in solving a lot of technological problem. I'm using this concept in promoting education amongst the underprivileged community. So I will talk about this thing a little later. So what I want to say when I'm talking about the concept of innovation, I can tell one thing, that anybody can innovate. It is just a idea, like the innovation. We all of us are innovator in some way or the others. And the question, especially the students who are here, when people talk about that you innovate, then they keep on thinking, what to innovate? What can I innovate? I cannot innovate. How to innovate? That is another thing. First of all, what to innovate, that is the issue. And then how to innovate? How to translate innovation to technology to production. That is the job of a scientist. Like they convert innovation to technology, and then the entrepreneur comes, they convert technology to production. So then comes that how should we translate innovation to production and services? Who are responsible for creating wealth? Who are responsible for creating an enabling society for rejuvenating India? So these are the questions that I'm gradually going to give you some explanation, and I'm sure you will be able to get the answer by yourself. So the thing is, how to innovate, what to innovate. When we talk about what to innovate, so I will give you some challenges. One challenge is the poverty challenge of India. You can see that in India there is a poverty card. It is there. So we can see there is a 50 million people who are living in extreme poverty in India. This clock is maintained by a global authority. This is a World Data Lab. So they are maintaining these things. So every second the data is being updated. So India is living in extreme poverty, that 50 million people, and what are we going to do about it? So this is a big challenge to us, and how we are going to address this challenge. So next is another challenge is Healthy India challenge. So there you can see, because we are facing the problem of COVID-19 outbreak. Now we can understand how fragile our health infrastructure and how difficult it is to manage the kind of pandemic that is happening. Although we are doing not so bad, but we are right now in third position, and there is a chance that we will be going to first positioning very soon, unless and until we have some innovative way of handling this pandemic. And there are people who are working to handle this health India challenges, and we need to think what kind of innovation that we can bring so that our country becomes really very good in terms of healthcare access and quality. Then there is education challenge. We know, all of us, we are in the middle point, because you can see India is yellow. Yellow is 0.55, which is our education index. It is not at all good, because somehow we have passed such a long time after independence, but still we are in the yellow, and our neighboring country who got also independence similar time, they are green. Where did we fail? So that is the question. So we have to have innovative ideas to handle this problem of education, and this is a challenge to us. Now there is another challenge, is clean water challenge. You can see the condition of our countries, like so many people are dying due to unclean water, due to bad sanitation. So what are we going to have? What kind of innovative solution we can have to really mitigate this challenge? So we have 3I India challenge. That is infrastructure problem. We do have lack of innovation. We do not have many industries in our country. So how can we handle this 3I challenges? There you can see that only 33% of the manufacturing output, which is 8% of our current like population, that they are in manufacturing. And unless we grow ourselves in manufacturing, it is going to be very difficult to be in the position where we will be proud of. And that is only possible if we keep on innovating, if we keep on addressing the challenges. Now, there is another challenge, which is gender inequality challenge. there is a correlation between GDP, the growth of the country, with gender equality, and that is known to us. We have slipped to 112th spot from 108. So unless we take special attention, we pay special attention in gender equality, growth in our country will be definitely slowed down. So there has to be a special emphasis on that. So the point that I wanted to make, that there are many challenges in our country, and there are 17 challenges or goals that has been defined by that is called Sustainable Development Goal. And 2015, the world leaders, they identified these 17 goals. I have highlighted few of these goals which are very much critical for India. So now it is our job, the innovators' job, to come up with ideas, innovative ideas to mitigate these challenges. Now, what I say when I talk about entrepreneurship, what I say that entrepreneurs, they convert challenges to opportunities. It is not that challenge, when we get challenged, we'll be really scared of that. Oh, challenge is there, so we'll not really do anything. Never, no, not a single entrepreneur will think in that way. They will always think, let the challenge come, because we will convert it to opportunities. And then you have to ideate. When there is a challenge, you have to ideate how to solve the problem. And from idea, you have to convert that idea to profit. And this profit can be of many kinds. This profit can be the social development, the kind of development that is going to happen in our country. This profit can be wealth, which will be consumed by the community. So that profit can be of different dimensions. So now what I need to say, there can be many ideas, but there are some great ideas. So the entrepreneurs, they can identify which are the great ideas, and they convert these great ideas to business, and they earn profit out of this business, and they also create job opportunities. And that is something where we need to really focus on, because in India that is so much required, that we need to create job opportunities, and also we need to have profit so that that profit can be shared in the community. Now, when I talk with my students that how we can really take up any entrepreneurial activity, so I say that identify your problems. I have shown many of the problems. You can identify any of these problems. Come up with ideas to solve the problem. That problem, maybe you will be solving a minuscule part, not a big part, but very, very small. But keep on solving that the small problems, and then make a plan for idea and implementation. So when you have ideated some solution, you cannot do things alone. You have to have a team. So you have to have a plan. You need capital. You need infrastructure. You need many things. So you keep on thinking how you can access the all this man, machine, money, all these 3 M's, how you can access. Then you have to make the team. Then keep on implementing ideas through products and services. Make market products and services, and create job opportunities and wealth. So these are the 7 steps. So you can follow these 7 steps and be a person who will be implementing great ideas and converting these great ideas to business, profit, job opportunities. Now, I told you a little bit about entrepreneurships when I shared the challenges, when I shared how the challenges is converted to opportunities. So what is something special in entrepreneurs? They recognize great ideas. There can be many ideas floating, but the entrepreneurs, they can find out which idea is great idea, because they would like to convert this great idea to opportunities, from opportunities to job opportunities, to job opportunities to wealth, to profit. Now, ultimately, when they try to do that, they have to look for resources, and which resources are underutilized. If the resources are underutilized, they will try to tap that resources. And other speciality about entrepreneurs is they take risk, because sometimes what happened, we think, why should we do this? Why should we take risk? I think I will be safe. But entrepreneurs will never think about that. They will think, I will invest my money, I will try to implement my idea, because they are a kind of a crazy person. They keep on implementing their ideas and take risks, and their ultimate objective is to earn profit, and that profit can be economic, the profit can be social. Now the thing is, when you have this plan, like taking risk, the entrepreneurs, they must set their business goals, and when they set their business goal, they have a broader picture. They visualize something, a better future, and that motivates the team, and they keep on motivating the teams. And as I told you, they create job opportunities and wealth for the nation. Now, since I talked about entrepreneurship, I talked about taking a risk, and that is actually the definition of entrepreneurship. That is, they take risk to financial risk to set up some venture. Now, you can talk about business like the shop that is there in the roadside. Are they entrepreneurs? It is one thing that is clearly mentioned in the books, that entrepreneurship must have an innovative idea instilled in that. So I'll be talking about innovation after some time. Now, what is the difference between innovation and business, or entrepreneurship and business? Like, you can talk about the KFC. Okay, I'm giving you the example of a KFC. So that is quite well known. That is a chain of shop. It was initially a single shop, but then ultimately it spread all over the world, and it has become a chain of shop. And they have implemented a lot of technology in that. So there is an innovation in their business process. So therefore, entrepreneurs, they will have some innovation in their business, whereas the simple businessman, they will take up the normal process of doing business, selling things, making things like that. So, and entrepreneurs, they will always look for social, emotional, aesthetic, and financial value in whatever they do in their ventures. Now, since my talk is on social entrepreneurship, I talked that I need to highlight that social entrepreneurship always do things where they take care of the social problems. They create values for the society. They create, they are the change agent, and they create some change in the society. They create the mindset of people who think that the age-old conventional process is right. There is no scope of innovation. There is no scope of change. But social entrepreneurs, they will keep on harping on making a new world, a brighter world for in the future. So they are the dreamer. So they keep on dreaming, and they will definitely mobilize a huge human capitals to do the teamwork to achieve a social change. Now, since I talked about innovation, because entrepreneurship without innovation is business. You can talk like that. But since I'll be talking about entrepreneurship, I'll be talking about innovation. So there are 5 different kinds of innovation as suggested by Stumpters. That there are 5 ways. I will be giving you examples of each of these ways. The introduction of a new good or a quality of good. Like, people think that, okay, is it an innovation? This is we were using the same thing, and how do you say it is innovation? I will show you how a product and service can be said that it is a innovation. Like the introduction of new good or quality of good, the introduction of new method of production, the opening of a new market, the utilization of some new sources of supply of raw materials or intermediate goods, the carrying out of new organizational form of the industry. So I'll go to the first one. I'll give you this example, and I'll take the example from CSIR NML, because since I belong to this laboratory, and this is something, a social entrepreneurial venture anyone can take up. So I thought you would be interested in that. So we have brass artisan in India, and it's a huge business. And the brass artisan, they live in a very sort of in a difficult condition, and they are not at all rich, and because they are artisan and they suffer a lot, and the tradition is an age-old tradition, and they use some kind of furnace. That furnace, there is a kind of scope of zinc pollution. The zinc, why it is zinc? Because brass is made out of copper and zinc. The copper and zinc is combined, and that is melted, and we get gas. Now this zinc is a pollutant, and these artisans, they inhale the zinc and they suffer a lot. And therefore, in NML, we thought that why can't we design a furnace where zinc will be precipitated? And there is another problem in the traditional furnace. It is not energy efficient. Means lot of fuel is underutilized. The fuel we put, but it is not burned, or maybe we have to put a lot of fuel. So we thought that it will be a good idea to have an energy efficient furnace. So we created a new design, and it was possible to make the zinc precipitate. And then this furnace, this is also a low cost thing. So it is a new quality of good that we innovated, and we have transferred this technology to many places, and we like to see that many artisans are taking up this furnace, and they are really getting away from the suffering they are facing because of the zinc pollution. So this is an example of a new quality of goods. So that is possible, and that is a kind of innovation. So the next one is new method of production. There I will give you an example of a lady. Her name is Khushbu Soni. She got well recognized by her work on 3D printing for neurosurgeon, orthopedics, cardiac surgeon. What they do, she does, she uses this 3D printing, and then she makes this model, and that is useful for the medical doctors and to teach students, medical students, about various parts of our system. And also it can be a very good implements, like biocompatible implements can be made using 3D printers. So this is a new method of production, and therefore this is a kind of innovation. There is another thing which is opening up a new market, the sachet revolution in rural India. Those who are student of management, they might have already know about it. This is called sachet revolution, because initially the rich people's items like consumption, they used to consume these shampoos and other things. But a person called Chini Krishna, a school teacher and a father of C.K. Ranganathan, CEO of Kevin Care, he realized if poor people have to use this product, the package has to be small. And then the small package was designed, and only the shampoo is being sold in India now 2 rupees. And you can see that how much market share these small packs are having right now. In India, the market share is 56%. So unless we do something to involve rural India in consuming product, we will not be able to really sell our product here, create demand. So you have to come up with innovative ideas to have rural India in your marketing network. So therefore, this Chota Pack, it is a benchmark technique to grab market share in rural India, and rural not only in India, in other countries as well. So the fourth idea about this innovation is new sources of supply. So how can we have new sources of supply? And I am again giving you an example of CSIR NML. We have started a center called Urban Recycling Center. What do you mean by urban recycling? We talk about electronic waste. Electronic waste, that mobile phone we have, the laptop we have, and in our home, how many electronic waste we are having right now. And we really don't know how to throw them, how to dispose them. In NML, what we do, we access all these electronic waste and extract metal, a valuable metal out of that. Only problem is we have to be very careful, because this electronic waste, they are having hazardous substance also. So we have to be very careful about handling this thing. So now what I need to say, it was not there before. We did not think about that urban recycling can be urban mines. We call it urban mines. Each one of us are carrying this mobile phone, this computer, laptops, many electronic waste, our fridge, TV, many electronic waste we are having in our home. Some of us, we do not throw them. We really do not know how to throw them, but NML is doing R&D on that. And we already have transferred technology on extracting gold and silver and many precious metals out of electronic waste. and we call this recycling center is urban recycling center, and this is a new sources of supply. Now, when I was working with this urban recycling center electronic waste, one idea came up that why can't we have e-waste innovation lab at CSIR NML? And we started this innovation lab, and we started making many innovative products, and which can be taken up by people who are interested to do business. So you can see two girls who are working on in our e-waste innovation lab. Now, what I would like to talk about, I have talked about what are termed as innovation. Okay, but only innovation will not do. I can do I can have one prototype of innovative product, but how can you convert this innovation to products and then or services? Now, one thing is called 3A. I would like to talk about 3A, which is called awareness, acceptance, and adoption. So sometimes, like many of you, you don't know about electronic waste, means urban recycling center. I just talked about. You did not know about brass melting furnace. You did not know about how 3D printer is used to make all these bio implants. But through these lectures, through this knowledge sharing forum, I'm creating an awareness. So this is called awareness. And then when you create awareness, then people will accept the idea. But whether people will accept the idea, they will be aware, but they will not accept the idea. For that, you have to do a lot of product demonstration. You have to give training program. You have to build capacity of people in terms of making these items, making these products, and then only they will gradually accept that. And once they accept that, then only they will adapt. And it is very much important for anyone to adapt new technology, new product. Unless they do that, the people who are now getting job, they can get job because of this production, they will not get job. So when you consume something and we accept some new products and services, you are ultimately helping the people. Now, helping the people to sustain their job, now to have their job. Now, what I mean to say about this capacity building, I mean to say that skill training is a very important aspect in entrepreneurship development. Therefore, in India, the ministry is called Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Ministry. The ministry is combined together the skill development and entrepreneurship. I would like to highlight another activity we do in CSIR NML, which is called CSIR Integrated Skill Training Initiative. CSIR has a huge infrastructural facility. We do high-end research for supporting industry. At the same time, we do research, we do work for the local artisan, for the local MSME, that means small business person. So we do work for them as well, and we organize training for them. And so CSIR, our headquarters, thought that why can't we have a skill training program? And we are implementing skill training program for the last 3-4 years. And sometimes we bring people from the rural areas, we bring them at NML, and we give them training on welding, machine operation, and many other aspects, including electronic waste management aspects. We are giving training to them. Now, I wanted to highlight the technology that we have in electronic waste. We have converted this technology. Like there is one thing called cobalt and manganese, which is very important for your lithium-ion battery. So the battery that is there in mobile, so you need to have this material, and NML has the technology to convert these old batteries, the bad batteries, taking the cobalt, lithium, extract from them, and then make a new, or one can make a new product out of this lithium ion. And that is very much important, because unless you have source, India is not rich in lithium source or cobalt source. Unless we do urban mining, we will not be able to do it. But how can we have that knowledge? How to open a battery, how to take out the black material, how to have the technology and knowledge to convert it to powder, that cobalt and manganese salt. So for that, we give training to people to learn how to do e-waste segregation, how to take out various parts of the batteries, and proper way, safe way. because anyone can do that, but it is not at all safe. As I told you, e-waste is a hazardous material. So unless you have proper guidance, you are going to risk your life. So that is very important. Now we did organize training for upcycling of e-waste for girls students. What I have a dream, I do have a dream to see that girls or men and women, they are making electronics product at their home. So it is going to be a kind of cottage industries. And this is something, I don't know whether my thinking is right or not, but we keep on giving training to people so that they learn how to make small innovative items at their home. Then it can be converted to large production system. But all people should be informed in innovative electronics, small electronic items. So we keep on giving training to people how to make small electronic items. Now these are some of the training. You can see that how we have taught the students who came for the training how to do survey, how to do awareness programs. So we have done that, and you can see that they have collected a lot of mobiles. They have we are doing this work continuously. Some of the innovative products that we made, which is battery checker. We wanted to use the battery or reuse or maybe upcycling the battery. We wanted to see if there is any life in the battery. This is black, red color battery is the laptop. Inside the laptop, you can't see it, it is there inside. This battery, this is a lithium ion battery. We have made this small system where we can see how whether the battery is having remaining life. Its health is good or not. If the health is bad, we throw them for recycling, means extracting the cobalt manganese powders out of this battery. Or if the life is good, then we make innovative product like portable emergency light. And we also make we also innovated women's safety device. This is also a very interesting device. I will talk about this device in a later time. So one thing is, since we handle this, we work with electronic waste, we work with electronic development, appliance development, so we can innovate. So one has to learn how to do this thing. So that knowledge is very much required, and we keep on giving training to people how to make small electronics item from very school level. We give from school level, we give education or knowledge training from school. So even the school students also we give training. Now this is one thing we ideate, that e-waste jewelry. And if you give search in various places, you will see that it is there in abroad, but one has to be very careful about handling that. So therefore, we are not really continuing this idea, but it is there, the concept is there. I wanted to just share it with you. Now, with this, I would like to talk about, told about the innovation, product development, and how the product can be marketed, some of the aspect of that. I thought my lecture will not be over unless I talk about my own experience about my entrepreneurial journey. As I told you, in 2010, I started Digital Literacy Mission. Why I called Digital Literacy Mission? But I thought that I will be teaching the poor underprivileged students computer. But when I saw they are so poor in their basic education, so we thought that we'll create a network of classroom so that we can give them basic education and let them pass class 10. Then at least we can stop the class dropout, school dropout. We can reduce the school dropout. And 2013, I started Entrepreneurship Management and XLRI and started implementing my social entrepreneurial venture, and which is called DLM. Then I established that non-profit organization, Relearn Foundation, for promoting learning by doing. In 2016, we established 15 DLM classrooms. We started then, we thought that how to make this classroom sustainable, because we have to pay the tutors some fees. So how to get the money? So we started making that some green products. One of the products is green garbage bag, and that we made in 2016, and we trained women self-help group to make this product, and we started supplying and selling those products. In 2019, I started this e-waste innovation laboratory and CSR NML, and started innovating products in electronic area. And 2020, right now, we are connecting many SHG, and we are promoting on women entrepreneurship through our foundation. So I'll talk about this now, the social entrepreneurial venture from my emphasis, the work that I have done so far with my team. So one thing is very important: this fund generation, wealth creation, and fund distribution. So when we do fund generation, any entrepreneur, they will think that how we are going to generate fund. You have a lot of government funding, you have corporate social responsibility, you can have donation from individual, and you can sell and sell products and services to generate revenue, and through that you can generate fund. When you generate fund, then you can promote skilling, you can promote skilling, you can promote connect the self-help group, you can involve people to do the product development, and then you can create wealth by skilling, that wealth are skill, knowledge, profit, and infrastructure. And then the fund distribution: how do you distribute the fund? You can create employment, you can give education, you can ensure the health is good, you can spend money on that, you can protect the environment through your product, through whatever money you have earned, you can ensure that. So social entrepreneurship can be of two types. One is non-profit, not for profit, and for profit. Not for profit, where the organization, they earn money, whatever remaining amount, they only invest in the society itself, like for promoting education, for promotion of health, so for those kind of activities. So they do not take the non-for-profit social entrepreneur, they do not take the money themselves. And for profit, they earn money, but they earn money to create employment and to ensure that there is a social development that is continuously happening. So this is mainly the structure of any social entrepreneurial venture. Now, through our foundation, what we did in terms of fund generation, that we focused our attention to waste. The reason we focused our attention to waste, because in India we always talk about new things. We really do not talk about waste, how we are managing the waste. But the waste management is so important. Unless we manage our waste properly, we will be in a very difficult situation, and that is happening. Therefore, nowadays we talk about so much waste to wealth, so much Swachhata, Swachh Bharat mission, and many other missions, which is clean Ganga, and so many missions are there to handling the waste. So we started working on kitchen waste. We have the knowledge of composting kitchen waste and converting to compost. We gave training on biogas, and we do promote biogas. Then we have another thing, definitely cloth waste. We do make cloth bags. There is another thing, water. We are working with water, where rainwater harvesting, where we have created IoT, Internet of Things based auto irrigation system, a drip irrigation system, that is the electronics product that we have innovated, and we have installed it in Nepal, and we are ready to install it in many places in India. So this is a small device which can be kept for irrigation in fields. So not huge amount of water will be used for doing this irrigation. Only a limited amount of water can be utilized, and we can save the water. Then in electronic waste, we have done low cost LED light, moisture sensor, women's safety device. We also give training which is called Make My Robot to not underprivileged only, the privileged students who are in schools, we give them training. And we have plastic waste. Using plastic waste, we did use plastic as fillers. When I am now interacting with an entrepreneur who is converting plastic to tiles, and how we can create a plastic banks and give these plastics to the tile manufacturer. We have extensively working with paper waste. We have a product called green garbage bag, which will be used for throwing your biodegradable waste, so that it can directly go for composting. We do not promote plastic bags for throwing garbage, or we always tell you not to use plastic bags. And we also make seat pens, paper pens, and we also make paper freezing tools. We have some tools where you can easily do paper freezing. So these are some of the products. We keep on innovating and also try to generate fund by utilizing this product, by selling this product. So this is some of the things called green garbage bag, where one can throw moist kitchen waste, and then this total kitchen waste can directly put in the composter. You can see here, this is the composter I maintain in my home, and I'm doing this composting for the last 2 years, and you get very beautiful compost. And I stay in 8th floor flat, so there is no smell, nothing is there, and we are using this compost now for doing the gardening below in our ground floor, so that we are doing the gardening right now. So this is another products. You can see the paper pen, seed pens. I have conceptualized a biodegradable banner. One thing I felt really bad about using a flex for seminars, conference, such a huge non-biodegradable waste. So there we ideated, and we number of times we made this product, and also paper folder instead of plastic folders. This is a complex slides. This is actually IoT powered auto irrigation system. We did that, and our product is ready, and we are interacting with people who will be ready to share. And this is through our foundation. Anything I do non-metal, it is through our foundation. Now, this is the training program we give to school children for learning them how to make small electronics products, so that from the very young age, starting from class 3, class 4, they can learn how to make their products, small applications. They can innovate, so that from very young age, if they learn how to innovate, when they will grow, they can innovate more complex things. So that is the interest that we have to create innovation, innovative society, and we keep on doing this thing. Now, when we talk about fund distribution, how do we do it? We have program like Digital Literacy Mission. We have Women Entrepreneurship Development Program. We do also have roadside classroom. We started roadside classroom in Kolkata. We wanted to do in many places, but COVID came up, so we are unable to do it. But I am very keen to start roadside classrooms in many places. So I'm very happy if some of the audience are interested to join me to create these roadside classrooms. Now, one thing that I want to share, I shared from in many places. This is called the concept of our education in India. Like, the primary school is on the bamboo infrastructure, and then the college is a little better, but the walls are broken. And then in the Indian university, the condition is really good, and foreign university, you can see the glass door. And in India, majority of the people are living in this condition. They are now having the primary school which are in bamboo structure. So now what should we do? Should we put bricks underneath so that our education system is better, or tie more bamboos, or arrange more ladders so that we can reach the foreign university very easily, or we make break the structure and build a new one, or we can keep quiet and do nothing and spend our time. So that slides, the cartoons really sort of push me to think to do something for the society along with my team. So as I told you, you know that huge dropout. I'm not getting into detail of this thing. This is known to all. And then what I told you in the beginning, this fractal concept, that I promoted this concept, I ideated this concept, which is called 1392, that one facilitator connects minimum 3 tutors for teaching minimum 9 students, and finally links 2 new facilitators. So like that, continuously, it will be a self-propagating system. Means one facilitator, they will connect 3 tutors, and this 3 tutor will minimum, they will teach 9 students, and the same facilitator will create 2 more facilitators. This is the concept of DLM that I started implementing from 2011. So you can say this is a single unit. 1 facilitator, 3 tutor, and 9 students. And the same facilitator is creating 2 more facilitators. And once we get the facilitator, we are having another system. So it keep on growing, and that is called the self-similar model, self-propagating model of digital literacy mission. So we started these community centers. Now we have nearly 25. You can see the children here in many places. So we are having many classrooms. It is growing, and we have to support the tutors, because tutors are also coming from very underprivileged background. So we support these tutors. So this is one of the roadside classroom we started in Kolkata, but now it is stopped, and we innovated many things where students can write on low cost boards that we created. So if you have some problems, if you have some difficulties, you always keep on solving that problem to come up with ideas. So unless you have problem, unless you do something, we will never have idea how to solve the problem or come up with new things. So therefore, I say that let the problem comes, we will keep on solving that and come up with new models, new ideas, new innovation. So these are the rural entrepreneurship development program for ultra poor community. This is Shabol community in a village called Bhutam in Purulia. So there we have given them a plate making machine, Shalpata plate making machine, and we collaborated with National Research Development Corporation, and we keep on organizing training program in various villages in lot of rural areas, so that we keep on doing it. So now the future project that we have taken up right now, which is not very far away from Jamshedpur, which is 19 kilometers. My collaborator is Bodhodol. There is a group who are there in Purulia. So the village name is Burijor, and there you can see the condition of the village right now, and we are taking the data like what is their condition right now. We want to convert this village to model village. So I talked to Dr. Sanchita, and I have requested Sanchita, or I'm requesting Father now, if we can, with your institution, we can plan something and do something so that the livelihood condition really becomes really good. So the target is, what is the target? To do something for the village. This is proper houses for all. All can grow their own food, water, electricity and fuel for cooking, cash crops for earning, livestock for food and earning, ecotourism for earning, health, education, skill training, zero waste. So these are the targets I thought about, which is appropriate for converting this very poor village to a better village in future. Now there is some video which I would like to show, and if I have time, I can show this video. The first video is around 4 minutes, and the second one only for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
আমরা আজকে রঘুবতু নামে যে গ্রামটার সামনে এসেছি এবং একটা স্কুলের আমরা বোর্ড দেখতে পাচ্ছি। এই বোর্ডটা এবং এই সংক্রান্ত বেশ কিছু কাজ পুরুলিয়ার বোধোদয় নামক একটি সংস্থা তারা নিয়মিতভাবে করছেন। আমরা কার্যকারকের সূত্রে আমরা খবর পেয়েছি যে এখানে কলের রাস্তা অসুবিধা আছে এবং এখানকার বাচ্চারা পড়াশোনা করবে।
হালিহারিয়ার শিক্ষা নিকেতন গ্রামে তৈরি হয়েছে। এখানে যে আদিবাসী গ্রাম আছে এবং আদিবাসী মানুষজনকে নিয়ে যারা স্কুলে পড়তে পারছে না বা স্কুল যেতে পারছে না, তাদেরকে নিয়ে আমাদের এই স্কুল চলছে। আর্থিক সহযোগিতা করছে দ্য রিলায়েন্স ফাউন্ডেশন। ডক্টর মিতা তরফদার এই বিষয়ে খুব সাধুবাদ যোগ্য, উনি এত সুন্দর সাহায্য করেছেন আমাদেরকে। এবং তারপরে দেখা যাচ্ছে এই স্কুল হকি তৈরি করতে করতে যেটা হয় পুরুলিয়ার পাহাড়ের জন্য, এখানে গ্রাউন্ড ওয়াটার লেভেল তো অনেক বেশি চলে যায় এবং গরমকাল পাঁচ কুয়া শুকিয়ে গেছে, টিউবওয়েলে জল নেই, বহু দূর দূর থেকে ওদেরকে সাইডে করে মাথায় করে জল বয়ে নিয়ে আসতে হচ্ছিল।
গরমকালের সময় জলের অনেক কষ্ট, জল অনেক দূর থেকে আনা হয়, তার জন্য এই তিরপল ব্যবস্থা করে নিয়ে জলটা রাখা হয়েছে। বৃষ্টি পড়তে ছিল না গরমকালে, সেই হতে ড্রামে করে জল ব্যবহার করে নিয়ে আমাদের এই স্কুল বিল্ডিং ঘর তৈরি করা হচ্ছে।
রিলায়েন্স ফাউন্ডেশনের যিনি আছেন, একদম প্রতীকী বলা যায় যে মানুষটি, প্রাথমিকা তরফদার, উনি একটা প্ল্যানিং করেন যে কি করে খুব স্বল্প খরচে একটা রেন ওয়াটার হারভেস্টিং কে দাঁড় করানো যায়। এবং সেটা তিরপল সিট, প্লাস্টিক পাইপ, ড্রাম, একটা ট্যাপ ওয়াটার, এগুলোকে দিয়ে খুব সুন্দরভাবে রেন ওয়াটারকে, বৃষ্টির জলকে পাহাড়ে সংরক্ষণ করেছেন এবং করে সেই জলকে এখানকার মানুষজন সুন্দরভাবে ব্যবহার করতে পারে স্কুল ঘর তৈরি করতে। সত্যিই খুব ভালো, এবং এ বিষয়ে আরো কিছু যদি উদ্যোগ নেওয়া যায় রেন ওয়াটার হারভেস্টিং নিয়ে, সেটা পরিবেশগত ভাবে এবং পাহাড়ের মানুষজনদের কাছে খুব ভালো হয়ে দাঁড়াবে। আরো এগিয়ে যাক স্কুল।
Okay, so this is another video, just 2 minutes. Just let me show you the last video, because I feel that you must see that one. That is really a very good video which was made by one of the students who work with me. When she came, she was in Rabindra Bharati. She is Saro. Saro worked with me and she made this beautiful video. So I'd like to share with you.
अपना टाइम आएगा, जागनी आँख से दूर जा तलाश में, परवाज़ें करवाने की आसमां भी सर उठाएगा। आएगा अपना टाइम आएगा, मेरे जैसा शाना लाला तुझे न मिल पाएगा। ये शब्दों का ज्वाला मेरी बेड़ियां पिघलाएगा, जितना तूने बोया है तू उतना ही तो खाएगा। ऐसा मेरा ख्वाब है जो तुझे भी सताएगा, जितना मेरा ख्वाब अब कैसे तू सताएगा। सब कुछ क्या किसी का मेहनत से है, जितनी ताकत किस्मत में नहीं उतनी रहमत में है। क्योंकि लड़का से मत नहीं है, क्योंकि मेहनत नहीं है, जरूरत यहाँ मर्जी की और जरूरत की है, ताकत की है, आफत की, हिमाकत की, इबादत की, अदालत की है, चाहत की, मोहब्बत की, अमानत की, जीतने की, इबादत की, शौकत की, अब लालच नहीं है, तेरे भाई जैसा कोई हारिस नहीं है। हरकत नहीं बरकती है, क्यों? क्योंकि अपना टाइम आएगा, तू करना ही तो आया है, क्या कर डालेगा जाएगा। अपना टाइम आएगा, अपना टाइम आएगा, अपना टाइम आएगा, करना ही तो आया है, क्या कर डालेगा जाएगा। अपना टाइम आएगा, अपना टाइम आएगा, अपना टाइम आएगा। क्या तू करेगा?
Okay, so that is the end of my talk. And I'm really so much thankful to all of you. Mm,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you, Dr. Taradar. Thank you so much. I think theory is common, but what you shared with us in terms of your experience is invaluable. And I'm sure that will motivate so many of us. We'll take in a few questions now. So one question is here from Mr. Amit Chaturvedi. He's asking that you mentioned about the risk-taking characteristics of an entrepreneur. In majority of families, this characteristic is not imparted since childhood. So he's asking how to develop the risk-taking attitude when students are in higher education.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the question. This is absolutely such a apt question in this scenario. We are always taught to play safe, play safe, not to take risk. So therefore, we have to create the innovative environment. So when people try to innovate, when they see that they can make things, definitely the risk taking attitude is less in India.
The question says that most social entrepreneurs, they start with a passion, but not all passion can be converted into business. So what indicators can they know to stop? They have to fix a line. So when is the time to stop? How will they know that this is not convertible to a business?
Yeah, you are talking about ideas to great ideas to business. Okay?
Yeah, right.
Business is always coming from great ideas.
Yeah.
See, it is something very difficult, because I'll give you my example. You know, that green garbage bag, that idea I have, and it is not being accepted by people, because these people think that it is a silly idea. Okay, but thing is, I'm so passionate that I cannot really stop. It's very difficult, because I think that there is some value in it that people are unable to realize. Maybe some conversion is required, some change is required. Now, but still, I think this is the solution right now. So it depends. It depends upon individual to understand when to stop. It really cannot. There is no signature that you cannot say that. But what thing I can do, I'll tell you, when I see that I'm not getting a lot of profit out of this idea, so I keep on coming up with new idea, try to implement. Okay, or my team, and so it is something. Which one will click? It is very difficult to say, but definitely you have to have a plan. You have to have a team. If you do not have team, then it's a problem. Now, how do you create the team? You have to make ideas. You have to make ways to create teams. So, like in terms of investment, definitely there is a very critical procedure of checking whether you can get grant funding and all. So there is a kind of process of judgment in the society, in the system. So where a lot of experienced people, they share their idea of whether the business can be sort of profitable in future. But one has to try, keep on trying. You know that in previous so many histories are there. So people attempted 1,000 times, then they become successful. So, but trying, keep on doing the same thing, working on the new ideas, it has to be done. There is no shortcut. I can tell you, there is no shortcut.
Right. Thank you so much. There are no more questions in the chat box. If a participant has a question, they can unmute themselves and ask. We'll wait just for 1 minute to see. Okay, there is another question that has come. This is from Prince from our college. He says, can the activation of innovation and entrepreneurship protect the national economy from the forecasted slowdown in economic growth?
You see, you have to innovate to handle this economic slowdown. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because right now, the scenario is like, say, I'll give you an example. Like the centers, schools are closed. Okay, schools are closed. The children are not coming to school. So their education system is totally sort of in very difficult condition. Now, I was thinking what to do. with my centers where students are not coming and they are not getting education. Privileged students, their parents are there, they are taking care of the children. But underprivileged children, their education is going haywire. So now the new innovative idea that I'm sharing with you all, I said that in my centers, 1 or 2 centers I'm implementing that you install mic. The way we listen to puja ka jo song hota hai na, the music I listen every day morning from the temple that is coming. So now study will be done like that. So we are installing mic system in loudspeaker system in 1 to 2 centers. There the teacher will be teaching some portion every day. It will be playing like a music, and 4 times, 5 times it will be played. And then the student will come one by one and recite whatever they have learned. There will be 10 questions, and the 10 questions they will answer. So this is the innovative idea I'm right now having to handle this kind of situation. So I know this is really crazy to do things like that, but this is just a small thing that I'm sharing with you. But there are a lot of ideas now floating in the system who will really help to handle the economic slowdown. And the big business people are there, the innovative minds are there. I'm sure new innovation will come up. I'm sure about that.
Thank you, Dr. Avdar. Is there any more questions? Okay, there is another question from Dr. Partha Priya Das. He's asking how Animal is a social entrepreneur that there's no financial risk to be taken.
Sorry, again, tell me again.
He's saying, I think he's trying to ask that is there any financial risk that Animal takes when it acts as a social entrepreneur?
First of all, Animal is not a social entrepreneur. Animal is a R&D laboratory. Okay, Animal is a technology provider. And when I talk about technology provider, say energy efficient furnace, the innovation has been done. Okay, the technology has been developed. Now the technology transfer takes place. In the technology transfer, what happens, there will be some entrepreneur who will think that maybe that there is a value in the technology. So that technology that person can take and then implement that. And how the financial risk involved in taking the technology. Suppose the technology has been taken and it could not be sort of implemented properly. Okay, or maybe what kind of financial risk that is involved. So there are a lot of government funding. They are funding entrepreneurs who are taking technology from CSIR or many other national institutions and implementing their entrepreneurial idea. So government is also giving funding to mitigate that kind of financial risk. So NML is not a social entrepreneur. NML is a research R&D laboratory, a technology provider.
Partha sir, if you have any further question, you can unmute yourself and ask. I hope you're.
Could I give the right answer? Is it okay?
I think so, because there is no further question from him. Is there any more questions? Okay, so before
actually,
yeah,
hello?
yeah, yes, Partha sir, please go on.
Yes, actually, ma'am, I am asking because you have given the example of NML. That's why only I'm asking.
No, you are
how an organization become. In your session, you have given a nice examples of 5 steps. In that, you have given the examples. That's only I'm asking how it is related to the social enterprise by giving the NML as an example. That's just I'm asking.
Okay, I was in my presentation. I was talking about innovation, and when you say things which is innovative, so when there is new way of doing things, a new quality of goods, because the furnace was there from the age-old day. Okay. But Animal has come up with a design, a technology, a new design. So that furnace now can give a proper, wind pollution is less, it is energy efficient. So as Animal, as a technology provider, not as a social entrepreneur, technology provider, Animal has innovated something. I wanted to give example of innovation, not as an example of social entrepreneur.
Yes, okay. Yes, thank you.
I gave my example as a social entrepreneur where I do things. Okay, not as a scientist.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you both.
Ah.
There's another
Yeah.
question, Dr.
Thank you.
Tavdar. This is from Ritika Mahato. She's asking, how do you measure social impact?
This is so much. I think this is a very good question, because there are a lot of process. The social scientists, they have a lot of process by which social impact can be measured, and there are a lot of matrices are there, index are there by which it can be measured, and we need expert to evaluate the impact. Right now, for our work, we did not really do the social impact analysis. What I can say, when we show some of the data, like how many centers did we open, how many students are getting benefit, there are indirect social impact, indirect social impact. The women who are earning money from us, they are getting direct benefit, and their family member, they are the indirect beneficiaries. Because the women is earning money, so therefore she is able to give a better food to her children. So the children are the indirect beneficiary, where the women is the direct beneficiary. So there is a procedure by which the impact can be judged. I am not expert in that, so I really cannot give you the exact process by which the social impact can be calculated.
Okay. There is a second question from Ritika. She is asking, how do you accelerate your development by collaborating with other stakeholders of the society?
Yes, really, this is without collaboration, you cannot do anything. Okay, what I can tell you, what we do, we just do a model. We just present a model. It is not a really huge development that we are doing in terms of the problem that we have. We are creating a model. Now, when we get funding, so there are various funding authorities. Some social organization might think that, okay, this idea is good, we will also replicate. So they can replicate along with us. They can do the same thing. So many people, many organizations, they have to do the same thing. A good example, best practices have to be taken, and then that has to be implemented. And to implementation, you need money. So we have created a model of revenue earning, getting funding from government, getting funding from CSR. That one model I can share with many organizations. They will learn from our knowledge, and at the same time, through that we can develop collaboration and proliferate that. At the same time, the CSR, corporate social responsibility, they do support, but that requires time, and governments also support. A lot of funding opportunities are there.
Thank you. There's another question from Ms. Malika Hijab. She's asking, how can we improve the current situation of women entrepreneurs in rural areas?
Yeah. See, one thing I can tell you, like there are some deficiency in our whole system. One is skill, definitely skill is required, the proper quality is required. Like I can give you example of textile, okay, like katha stitch, or many beautiful stitches that women do. And because they cannot go out of their home, they have to be working from home. So that is their constraint. And now, how to take the products and beautiful to the market. So unless we create a good market linkage, and that is being done now. You see the model of Fab India. The model of Fab India, they are getting the job done by rural women in Rajasthan and many other places. So, and this is a profit-making organization. They are running huge profits. Similarly, we have to have many people who will be doing the similar work, and people are doing. But definitely the process is slow. Because our requirement is so huge, it's very difficult. But it will come gradually. It takes time.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Thank you for the answer. So far, I cannot see any more questions, and I think it is already time. So I would like to invite Professor Nishit Singh to give the vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Loud and thunderous applause for Dr. Meeta Tarafdar. Ma'am, it was such a delight to have you with us. The breadth and the span of experience really is immense. It was amply reflected throughout the session. We are so full of enthusiasm and youthful earnestness to work on and on and on. Ma'am, you embraced such diverse ideas like lithium cobalt resource crunch to brass furnace to 3D printing to the e-waste management, reprocessing and reuse. And then you connected all those things to the learn, relearn and unlearn thing. It is really, really, ma'am, such a nice thing to hear from such a person of your stature. Ma'am, you connected succinctly so many work areas that so many scientists and so many professors we all do all through the day and years that is there. Ma'am, your knowledge sharings and insight would go a long way and prove very invaluable to our students, faculty, and the audiences of this webinar. Ma'am, a big thank you on behalf of the Department of Business Administration at XIT and all the XIT family. Ma'am, it was really, I think this was one of the first webinars from you, and maybe we would be looking for some more from you. It was really, really very good experience for almost all the people who were there in the webinar. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I would also extend my big thanks to Father Francis, our principal at XIT, Dr. Sanchita Ghosh Chaudhary, and both of them, they worked so hard all through these days, and they have really worked so nice to organize this webinar. A big thanks to Father Francis and Sanchita. Nice thank you to you. I would also like to thank on behalf of the Department of Business Administration, XIT, to the Acceleri family for extending such a nice support all through this webinar, and particularly to Mr. Abin Jose. He has been such a very nice support. He has done a lot of support, technical support, and all those things. A big thank you to Acceleri family and Mr. Abin Jose. I would also like to extend a big thanks to all the faculty members, to the professors, to the teachers, to the guests, to all the students and the audience of this webinar. I think they have gained a lot from your insights, ma'am, and they would always be looking towards you. And I think there would be a lot many questions that would come to you after the webinar also, I think. And let me say and wish, stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you all. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being with XIT. Thank you, and big thank you to all of you.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you, Nishit sir. I will now request the participants to kindly fill up the feedback form, which is available in the chat box. And the session is now at an end. After you fill up the feedback form, you may leave. Thank you.